On this episode of Locked On Angels, Roansy Contreras ruins a great game last night for the Halos and a fantastic start from Reid Detmers. We've got the good and the bad, plus we are going to give a detailed look at what Reid did last night that was really, really smart. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all this Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with John and I and be a part of the conversation. And today's episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Coming up on the end of our third season here at Locked On Angels, and we're here talking Angels baseball 5 days a week. You can always count on us to be there for you bright and early so you can get the latest on your Halos. On today's show, Shohei Ohtani, of course, was asked about his return to Angel Stadium. We're going to get into his comments and our comments on his comments, Michael. And I got a feeling that we're all kind of tired of talking about it, including Shohei, and we'll talk about that later on. Reid Detmers pitched in the majors for the first time since June. We've got a detailed breakdown on what he did well and if Detmers pitched differently than he did earlier in the season. But first, let's recap the game from last night. The Angels fell to the Dodgers 6-2 in extra innings after a big Mookie Betts home run that put the game out of reach, Mike.
Yeah, Johnny, this game started before the game started. Some of the conversations that happened were about what the Angels would do for Shohei. There was rumors that they would have no plans to honor Shohei before the game. That was per Sam Blum. There was a graphic before his first at bat. Now, for the record, the Angels did do a video tribute in spring training against the Dodgers, and they posted a pretty great social media video about Shohei Ohtani. Thought it was pretty cool. And Shohei did get a great ovation, very well deserved, although 80% of that stadium was wearing Dodger blue.
Well, it's because they can't afford tickets to Dodger Stadium
right
now that they have a $7 trillion team, so that's why they have to come invade Angel Stadium. But Mike, this is nonsense. It's so ridiculous. They gave him a tribute the first game he came back to Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we have to draw a line at, well, it was a spring training game. It wasn't a regular season game. All these know-nothings across baseball who don't pay attention to the Angels, know nothing about the Angels, don't care about the Angels, 364 days out of the year, have all these things to say about a guy who doesn't even think about them. They get mad on his behalf. Shohei wasn't upset. Shohei wasn't mad, so I don't see why all these people are getting upset about it when it's not their problem. I saw Yankee fans chiming in. I saw Dodger fans saying, well, you should celebrate the player on our team. And it's like, we don't have to. We don't have to. And they already did, by the way. And so to draw the line at a regular season game is absolutely ridiculous. They did it his first visit back at Angel Stadium. And because the know-nothings know nothing about the Angels, they don't know that those spring training exhibition games are packed out, Mike, at Dodger Stadium and Angel Stadium. They always play each other before the season starts, and those games are exciting, and a ton of people go. So it's not as if the ovation was unheard. Plus, half the people weren't even in the stadium anyway by the time there would have been a tribute. So this is just all nonsense from all over baseball. And again, baseball know-nothings have a lot to say when they don't care about the Angels half the time, basically.
Yeah, when Shohei did get that tribute video in spring training, he actually stepped into the box and was going to hit. He didn't care that the video was playing. They had to ask him to leave the box so that he could watch the video. Then he tipped his cap, and then they went to play the game. So he is not somebody who is a media glory hog, and it seemed like all the fans wanted him to be that. And so I thought everything was fine, and it was Pretty fine for the Angels to start this game, Johnny. Logan O'Hoppe got the Angels on the board with a home run to right center, his 18th home run. He has got the most home runs for a catcher since Mike Napoli had 20 home runs in 2008. Man, it was that long ago. Jeez. And he needed that one, John. He was 5 for his last 46 coming into this game. Good start for September. Remember, last year, 9 home runs, Johnny, and 15 RBIs in September. So, hey, Logan, if you want, you can do that again.
Yeah, feel free, Logan. The Dodgers responded with 2 in the top of the third, and this was really the only time that Detmers got into some trouble, and it showed. And I actually have a good breakdown coming in the second segment where we'll talk about Reid Detmers. But they got 2 in the top of the third. Ohtani hit a triple that got stuck under the right field wall. The Angels challenged it, said it should have been an automatic double because the ball got wedged in there. The umpires in New York didn't agree because it's the Dodgers and it's Ohtani. And so Rob Manfred said no. Mookie Betts hit a single to score Ohtani. And then bottom of the fifth, Taylor Ward hits his 20th homer of the season. So a nice little crew of halos who have hit 20 home runs this season. Adele, Neto, and Ward. I imagine O'Hoppe can get there before the season's out as well. Again, Mike, a good little baseline for these guys to have and to take into next season. So that's game at 2. And then, Mike, it was a pitcher's duel the rest of the way until extra innings, right?
Right. As you mentioned, Reid Detmers had a great start. We'll talk about that in segment 2. But, Johnny, the bullpen was great until extra innings. Strickland came in. He followed Detmers, went an inning. Then Quijada comes in. He walks Chris Taylor to start it. Then he got Shohei Ohtani to strike out swinging. Johnny, what I loved about that at bat and the Freddie Freeman at bat that I'll talk about in just a minute was that Quijada was like, I'm throwing a fastball and I'm throwing it at the top of the zone. See if you can hit it. And he just was going after these guys. And Freddie really adjusted. Now, Mookie Betts popped out in between Ohtani and Freeman. Freddie adjusted and was making contact. A 12-pitch at bat. 2 of those were sliders. 10 of those were fastballs. And he got Freddie Freeman to swing and miss. And it was a really great at bat. So high five to Freddie Freeman. And it was a really fun moment. In fact, Quijada soaked in the crowd after he struck out Freddie Freeman in that at bat.
Yeah, he seems to thrive off of the energy. We saw that in the World Baseball Classic with Jose Quijada. Joyce came in the 9th inning, pitched a 1-2-3 inning with 2 Ks and threw 105.5 miles per hour to Tommy Edman for the strikeout. Mike, that was the fastest pitch in the StatCast tracking era. And the 3rd fastest pitch, the first 2, of course, belonged to Aroldis Chapman in the pitch tracking era, which starts in 2008. StatCast started in 2015. So just the 3rd fastest pitch thrown from Ben Joyce. And man, I was texting my buddy Johnny, who's a Dodger fan. I said, hey man, I know you want the Dodgers to win. I said, but watch Ben Joyce. He's fun to watch. And he was like, all right, I'm watching, and was impressed with 105.5 Joyce FM.
So good. What wasn't fun, John, was the top of the 10th. So Roansy Contreras comes in, and with 1 out, Rojas singles in Edman, who was the ghost runner at second base, went to third base on a ground out by Max Muncy. John, that was the first hit for the Dodgers since the 3rd inning.
Right. And the Angels didn't have a hit since the 5th inning. So it was pitchers back and forth this whole time. Did you know that Roansy was going to blow this game? Because I sure did, Mike. I knew that coming into this game, that was exactly what was going to happen. And the problem is they walk Ohtani naturally because first base is open. Move. And then Betts hits a 3-run home run. And it was right after a visit from Barry Enright and the team telling him, hey, Mookie's a first pitch hitter. He will swing at the first pitch every time. So Roansy throws the slider right down the middle to Mookie Betts, and he hits it out. And that was the nail in the coffin. So I think about Brock Burke coming in. I'm like, why wasn't Burke starting the inning? Why are you going to Contreras? I know that he's been good in late innings, but the last couple of outings have not been great. And so it wasn't on the bullpen, Mike. It was on Roansy Contreras himself and Ron Washington for making that call. So it was just a really frustrating way to lose that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was right after you mentioned he just talked to his pitching coach. So give me a pitch that's not in the strike zone, but that slider was a meatball. That was an easy pitch to hit.
Throw it in the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why you're throwing that. Give him a fastball low, give him a fastball high. They weren't catching up to that stuff. And so that was a really frustrating moment. And it was the loss is on him. The loss is not on this bullpen. And what I liked about the game last night was that you saw a lot of really positive things that took place.
Mhm.
And especially with the bullpen and Ben Joyce being exciting in the ninth inning, being somebody that can hold it down. And then also Jose Quijada coming back and actually being somebody that we can count on. I really look forward to what those two can do next season. And they had the Dodgers off balance all night long. And I know that we're not chasing wins, we're chasing developments. And so I'm not super frustrated with the game last night. But John, would have been nice to get a victory.
Well, especially after all the discourse yesterday on, doing this, doing that, It's the Angels World Series. Apparently the broadcasters on Sportsnet said something along those lines. And it's like, if you come out at the beginning of the season, like Mookie Betts did, and say, it's going to be everybody, other team's World Series when they beat us. And then you can't set that precedent from the very beginning. And if you look around the stadium and you hear all the cheers and you hear the Freddie, or Mookie, tell me whose World Series it is when you beat the lowly Angels, who have dominated you for the last couple of decades. So congratulations on being good for a decade, because we know what that's like, and they'll certainly be back there again. It's almost as if baseball ebbs and flows, Mike. It's almost as if, teams are good and then they're really bad and then they're really good again. Talk to me. Oh, you know what? None of the Dodger fans who can talk to me were born or even alive for the 90s. So maybe they don't know what it was like for the Dodgers back then. But thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels are back at it tonight, 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, did Reid Detmers pitch smart in last night's game? Did he pitch the way that they've been wanting him to pitch all season long, and why he spent so much time in AAA? We'll explain what we're talking about, and we'll get into the details coming right up.
Today's episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by eBay Motors. Listen, there's no hope for the Angels. You can't fix them. But if your car needs some help, ebaymotors.com has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and even level it up to peak performance. They've got superchargers and roof racks and exhaust kits and LED headlights and so much more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your auto, you'll find exactly what you're looking for at ebaymotors.com. And they have the eBay Guarantee Fit, which means that you are going to pick out a part and they guarantee that it's going to fit your ride every single time, or they're going to give you your money back. With all the parts that you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home a big W. Keep your car, truck, or SUV alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. And the eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And every dayers, you are invited to join us at the Ohtani All-Star Bowl. This man hit his 18th home run last night, and now he wants you to join him for the Ohtani All-Star Bowl. It's an event being put on by Logan Ohtani. He's going to bring some of his teammates, and we're all going bowling for a great cause. We're raising money for Corey's Promise, a nonprofit organization that helps to offset the financial burden of families whose children are dealing with pediatric cancer. So come hang out with us on Saturday, October 5th at Cal Bowl in Lakewood from 1 to 4 p.m. We're bowling together, supporting a great cause, and we're going to get to bowl with the players. So we're going to play about 3 games or so, and one of those games will be against some of the Angels that are stopping by, and it'll be a nice little tournament going on there. I'm going to have a team. Mike's going to have a team. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there, and because we're going to be there, you can grab your tickets in the link in the show description, and when you do, use our promo code BROS at checkout. That's BROS for $50 off your ticket. So come join us. We can't wait to meet you. We can't wait to see you. We can't wait to bowl with you at the Ohtani All-Star Bowl.
Johnny, Reid Detmers pitched last night, first start since June, and you tracked if Reid Detmers was pitching smart. So what did you find out, Investigator John?
I'm stretching out for this one, Mike, because I did a lot of good paying attention to what Detmers did in this one, Mike. The goal here was trying to see if Reid Detmers was pitching smart. Was he being a cerebral pitcher? What I mean by that is, was he throwing the pitches that essentially make sense in terms of, hey, you got this guy chasing your slider, maybe you surprise him with the fastball, using your pitches effectively, not just to throw it in there and see if you get a strike, but to fool guys at the plate
Right.
and pitch effectively and pitch in such a way that most great pitchers do. They are cerebral, they're tactile, they pitch smart because they are using their pitches in such a way to get batters out and fool them, get them to swing and miss, get them to pop out, that sort of thing. So, did Detmers pitch smart? And the first at bat against Ohtani certainly looked smart. There was a couple of fastballs on the edges and above the zone, tried to get him to swing at the slider. He ended up having a fastball on the outer half of the zone that Ohtani rolled over, and they were able to get him out at first. There was a dangerous 94-mile-an-hour fastball to Betts for a flyout after he fell behind. He did walk Freddie Freeman. There was a slider in the zone to Teoscar to get the strike on the first pitch, so it was good to see him realize that, hey, I walked Freddie. I got to get a strike and get ahead here. And so he went with a comfortable pitch and got that strike on the first pitch with a slider, another slider for strike 2, and then a strikeout with the slider. So 24 pitches in the first inning. To me, that was him not doing what he was doing before. I think 24 pitches in the first inning was facing really tough hitters who know how to work counts. There's a reason why the Dodgers offense is where it is and why their record is the way that it is. And I think that first inning showed that, yes, Reid threw 24 pitches. You and I have been scared about that in previous shows because he uses a lot of pitches and doesn't go very long into games. I think this was an instance of he's facing really tough hitters in the first inning. Why don't you talk about the second inning?
Yeah, he continued to do what he did in the first inning. He was on the edges with his pitches. He did have a scary fly out to Edman. And then there was a great slider and curveball that was landing in on the hands of Max Muncy, obviously a left-handed batter.
Right.
And then Muncy chased the slider down for the strikeout in that inning. And then third inning, John, he kept trying to get that fastball on the edge for the strike, which, again, is a great idea. He walked Rojas. It was kind of a wasted pitch when he overthrew the slider. Then he struck out Taylor on 3 pitches. And then why don't you talk about this at bat with Ohtani? Because it was a really interesting at bat for both Ohtani and Reid Detmers.
Yeah, the way he got Ohtani in the second at bat was he threw the slider away, and he also threw it in on the hand, or I should say he threw the curve in on the hands with Ohtani. The curveball caught the plate right in the middle, and Ohtani tripled. And then there was an off the plate curveball to Mookie that was just way away from him, and he reached out and poked it, and Ohtani was able to score. And then there were 3 fastballs to Freddie Freeman, and it was a base hit. Right, the fastball was right down the middle. One thing I noticed, Mike, was with Mookie on base, he did end up stealing second. Reid gave him some attention by throwing over to first a couple of times, but then Detmers threw 3 straight fastballs on the pitches he did throw to Freeman. And that worried me because I felt like now that Reid was in trouble, he wasn't trusting himself or his pitches. But then Barry Enright comes out, gives him a talking to, and he gets back to pitching smart again. He's painting the edges. He starts using his changeup. He gets away from the curveball, which is just not landing where he wants it to go. And there was like an immediate light switch after Barry Enright went out there to talk to him. And so he pitched up and down to Will Smith, and he got the K with a slider down and away. And so to me, I was worried for Reid. I was like, how is he going to handle this adversity with Mookie Betts on base? And that first at bat against Freddie, that concerned me. But the talking to from Enright seemed to help because he stopped just throwing the fastball. He started pitching smart again. And I think that was really key there. In the fourth inning, he went outside and inside to Tommy Edman for the K. Muncy reached out, hit a slider that was up a little bit higher than Detmers wanted. And then to Miggy Rojas, he was inside, he was down, he was outside. Pitch number 5 was a strikeout looking, and it really was the only hittable pitch in that at bat, and it was a fastball. And at this point, he's at 73 pitches. Mike, what Detmers started to do as the game went on was in key moments where the Dodgers hitters expected something off speed, he threw the fastball. He threw it, and he threw it where he wanted. And that was another thing that jumped out to me. Did you notice where his fastball was sitting in this game versus where it's been. It's used to be 97, 96. It was more like 93, 94 in this one. And I suspect that he took a little off the velo to have a little bit more control because I don't think I've seen him work his fastball better than he did in this game, right?
Yeah, he did really well. And it was actually what helped him to strike out Shohei Ohtani in that at bat in the top of the fifth. He got Ohtani to strike out looking at the fastball after a lot of pitches away. Ohtani was looking for a breaking ball, and Detmers surprised him with that fastball. And then I liked what he did against Betts. He was up and down in the zone, and then he got the slider for the ground out. So you saw a very smart Reid Detmers last night. 88 pitches at that point, sixth inning. He gave a curveball to Freddie Freeman. It was a bad location, but Freeman was out in front after two fastballs. But again, the benefit of the fastball and controlling the fastball really helped Reid to throw what he was throwing last night. And they mentioned it on the TV side, on the broadcast, the difference between the fastball and like throwing the curve or the slider, the miles per hour were 10 to 15, sometimes 20 miles an hour difference. And so that really, really helped Reid last night. There were two missed curves to Teoscar Hernandez, a change down the middle for a strike, then a swing on a fastball for a strike, and then a changeup that was up. That was a fly out to Adele. And then, of course, Will Smith came up and a fastball. Again, it was a called strike, up and in, change up for a foul, and then a fastball for strike three, Johnny. 10 Ks at that point for Reid Detmers.
Yeah, he had himself a great night. And again, I know it was 6 innings, but in his return against the Dodgers, I think that was really important for him to have that quality start. And that's what it is at the end of the day, Mike, a quality start with only 2 earned runs against him, 6 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, 100 pitches. I love this this tweet from Taylor Blake Ward, Locked On Angels Hall of Famer. He said, "I will live and die on this hill. Reid Detmers is the most important pitcher in the Angels organization." Do you agree with that statement?
I do, and I think that we have seen him against really good teams rise to the occasion. And if he can get it right, Johnny, I think he can really lead this pitching staff. And what TBW said on the Angels Win podcast was, I don't like to use the word ace, but I'm going to use the word ace because he could be somebody that could lead this rotation. And you and I talked about Reid being that guy at the start of the year, and he looked like it, right? He looked like it. And so maybe some mental things are going to shift for him. Maybe his mechanics are going to improve. I saw him learn on the mound as he had to adjust, like stop throwing the fastball, do it this way, throw the curve, then throw the fastball. Like I love the coaching that he was given. And so I think he's somebody that could really help carry the momentum for this starting rotation for the rest of the year and possibly carry it into 2025.
The biggest thing I was looking for, Mike, was, is he going to have another meltdown on the mound?
Yeah.
Can he handle adversity? Can he handle Mookie Betts threatening to steal? And, there was that moment against Freddie where he started to get a little inside his head and he's like, I'm only going to throw the fastball. I'm only going to throw a fastball. Well, they had a conversation and he started pitching smart again. So to me, I think this is a great way to come out of the gate. He pitched really well against a really tough team and he looked like a different pitcher to me. It was not overwhelming him. The moment was not too much for him. He seemed to figure out what was working, had a good feel for the pitches that he wanted to throw in there. And again, the location. Remember that these guys wanted the Angels starting pitchers to throw and get strike one. And Reid was doing really well at doing that by throwing the fastball on the edges, relying on Ohtani to kind of frame that for him, or getting guys to chase it and swing and miss. And even if they did hit it, it would induce weak contact. But the location and the control for Detmers, something that went away from him earlier this season, I think was back in this start. So a lot of positives to take away for Reid Detmers in this start.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And it's unlike any other apps out there. PrizePicks allows you to just play against the numbers. You pick more or less of 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch those winnings roll in. And right now, you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And if you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win. They just give you a $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And for September, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you one win on PrizePicks every single week this month. And it's 4 free weeks from PrizePicks. So you should go on PrizePicks and pick more, and they're going to give you a free W. It ends at the end of September, so just know that. Download PrizePicks today. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. They are now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball. Makes ticket getting even faster and easier. They're obsessed with finding you ways to help you save money on tickets. With Game Time, you can get last-minute deals on tickets, save up to 60% for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Maybe get some last-minute tickets to the game tonight and show up for our Halos if you can. You can save even more with exclusive in-app flash deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event, concerts, comedy, all kinds of stuff. Save even more on zone deals when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. They got all-in pricing, so you'll know the total up front. No guesswork, no surprise fees. You get a panoramic view of your seats, and they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. With every purchase, you get Game Time ticket coverage, the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You don't have to deal with the bigwigs. You want to deal with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game Time.
Ohtani came back last night to Angel Stadium. We all saw it. We were all there, and there was a lot of excitement from Dodger fans that he came back to Angel Stadium last night. He was asked, Johnny, before this game about not being with the Angels and, what happened there. And Ohtani was very classy in his responses. He was asked specifically about the Angels being unwilling to match the offer and what he would have done if they did. So why don't you share, Johnny, what he said?
Yeah, they asked him, how surprised were you the Angels didn't match the kind of offer the Dodgers and other teams are willing to give you? He said, regarding that, nothing in particular. I think other teams, including the Dodgers, evaluated me highly. Rather than think about what the Angels did or didn't do, I'm grateful for the teams that evaluated me highly. And the question was, if the Angels had matched the offer, how likely do you think it would be that you would still be an Angel? And he said, in reality, I wasn't made an offer, so I can't say. In reality, I'm doing the best with this team. I'm doing my best with the goal of winning a World Series. I think I'm fine with that. Mike, no surprises from these responses for Shohei Ohtani. Classy, didn't denigrate the Angels as much as reporters want him to. They want the clicks. They want the bait. They tried to bait Ohtani and make him say something about the Angels that they could run with, of course, and he didn't take it. And I appreciate that about him. And that's what kind of drives me nuts about this whole dialogue is the fact that Ohtani has been classy through the whole situation. And he said the same thing here that he would say when these sorts of questions would come up when he was with the Angels. And his response was, well, I'm trying to win here. The Angels are my team.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win here. I want to win a World Series, and I'm doing the best I can with this Angels club. And that's essentially the same answer he gave to these reporters about not being an Angel. And he's like, I'm not going to deal in theoretical situations of, what if the Angels had offered you this? What if they did that? They didn't. And we all knew that. And we all know that Artie didn't want to match what the Dodgers or some of those other teams like the Blue Jays were willing to give him. And that's what's frustrating about this whole situation is we know that it comes down to ownership. Nobody's angry with Ohtani. You might be angry that he went to the Dodgers. I get that. I'm not that kind of fan. Mike's not that kind of fan because they don't play in our division. They're a crosstown rival. What they do means nothing to what we do. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't bother me that he's there. What bothers me is the dialogue around it. And like I said, know nothing Dodger fans who have a million opinions for no reason when you don't even think about actually you do. We're on your mind. We live rent free in your heads all the time. But that's honestly where this frustrates me, Mike, but I know you have some thoughts as well.
Yeah, are we over this now? Are we over this conversation? Like media friends, did you get it out of your system, right? Because Ohtani's reaction is, I'm over answering these questions. So great. He's answered them twice now because they've played the Angels twice at home. So we don't need to ask him this anymore because he's made it very clear. And we can move on. I'm tired of talking about it. He looks like he's tired of talking about it.
Shohei is tired of talking about it. You're right. Yeah. Like if anybody's tired of talking about this stuff, it's Shohei.
Yeah, I'm tired of it. He looks tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. And so it's time to move on. I get that the questions needed to be asked. They were asked. They were asked pretty often. Press conferences when he signed, press conferences when he got to the Dodger Stadium, press conferences in spring training, and then another one last night. That's fine. I think the media needs to do their job. And now let's be over it. Because
I don't know, Mike. Maybe we need one. We need one more press conference where we ask him about signing with the Angels and the Dodgers.
We got to keep asking questions. Here. Let me just say this. Yes, dumb move. Artie Moreno should have re-signed him. Yes, this organization is a dumpster fire. Yes, it's frustrating that a guy like Shohei Ohtani is not on our team and went to the National League, quote unquote, rivals of the Angels in LA. All of that's frustrating. All of that is true. And what happens in this conversation is that there are fans and then there are media people that want to just poop on the Angels. They want to crap on the Angels, right? And it's like, Angel fans, we know this. Yeah. We know all of this. We know all of this is true. And Shohei knows all of this is true. So why are we continuing to talk about it? Like, you're not saying anything new and you're not saying anything brilliant. It's the reality of the situation. The only thing that I hope for from last night's game and from all of this narrative is that the higher ups, Artie, John Carpino, those guys are seeing this, watching the Dodgers win a game in our stadium after we played really, really well. Yeah. And then blow it at the end. I hope they're watching this, and I hope that it sucks for them. I hope that it's so painful for them. I hope that they're sick to their stomach. And I hope that maybe perhaps he goes to Perry, Artie goes to Perry and says, here's a blank check, man. Give me Corbin Burns and get me this guy and get me that guy, and let's bring him in and let's go, right? And I know that that's a huge dream, right? Like, I know that that's drinking the hopium, but that's the only thing that I would say to this situation is I hope that that's the response, because there's no other response, right? There's no other response. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of Ohtani seems like he's tired of talking about it. He is class act, classy guy. Thank you, Shohei Ohtani, for showing up and tipping the cap and doing everything that you need to do and being respectful and honorable. We, John and I, Angel fans, everydayers, we appreciate that. Yeah, you cannot get him to say anything bad about any team, to be honest with you. And that includes the Angels. And when they pressed him further, he was like, well, it's a special place to me. I played 6 years there. Like, of course I'm excited to go back. And it's just silly to me that we've had this conversation. We've circled the drain on this a million times. And it all comes back to clickbait. It all comes back to getting views, and they just try so hard to spin this narrative around Shohei Ohtani. It's like when he didn't talk to reporters during his free agency. That was the biggest problem in the entire world, and everybody was freaking out, and media was freaking out. Ken Rosenthal was freaking out, and it's like, you don't have to talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. It's between him and his agent and where he's going to go, and they were mad because this offseason sucked, Mike. The winter meetings sucked. And they were boring. Higher of themselves than they ought to. That's really what it boils down to. That's what it comes down to. And so for me, like you said, it's a tired conversation. Shohei especially is tired of having this conversation. Who wouldn't take $700 million to go to any team? Yeah. And the Dodgers are willing to do that. They're in position to make the playoffs. And hopefully, for Ohtani's sake, they make a good run at it, because if they get eliminated in the first round by a team like the Diamondbacks again, then they're going to have some egg on their face at the end of the day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now check out Locked On MLB. Our friend Sully is going to make you laugh, make you cry, and make you smarter as a fan. And you can get his podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And he's a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Also, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Super Halo Bros. We'd love to hear from you there. Come on over to today's show on YouTube, get in the comments section, and hit that like button and subscribe button on the way down. That would really help us out. Mike, what do we have on deck for Thursday's show? We're talking about everyone's favorite Mickey Moniak, and we're curious, based upon what we've seen last year and this year, Who is the real Mickey Moniak? Will he please stand up? We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
I was waiting for a Slim Shady reference there. There
you're
you
welcome.
go. All right, friends. Thanks for being here for this
Cool.
conversation. And I'm hip. We hope that you'll come back and join us tomorrow. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
That song's like from almost 30 years ago. And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
He's got a daughter who's like making her own music now. That's how old we are.
Oh
So there
gosh.
you go. All right, friends. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you back here on Thursday.
I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady.
No,
All the other Slim Shadys are
don't do
just okay.